Christopher Baker is a travel writer. He joins me live from California with more on Fidel Castro's death. Christopher, thanks for joining us. Tell us, how will Fidel Castro's death impact the interest in the island nation and travel?
Well, I think it's probably going to be marginal, because right now Cuba is, there's a tidal wave of interest amongst Americans given the changes that President Obama has initiated over 2 years. So it's difficult to get a hotel room these days. The tours that I lead for National Geographic expeditions, my motorcycle tours, they sell out. I think what may change, of course, is that there may be a new interest amongst those who had said they would never go to Cuba whilst Castro was alive. We'll see how that shapes up.
For many of us who may not have visited Cuba, explain to us why is such a sought-after destination. What is it, just 90 miles from Florida?
Well, partly there's the forbidden fruit, so there's a lot of pent-up interest that's not being tapped. But also it's a very, very unique place. We know about the experiment that Fidel Castro and his brother Raul have tried. It's unique in the communist experiment itself. But the music and dance, the food, those are well known to travelers. The colonial cities, the time warp aspect, the fact that it's in many ways caught in the 1950s, all these things together make it a very, very unique and sought-after destination.
In your opinion, was Fidel part of the appeal to visit here? You mentioned forbidden fruit, the fact that he was such an elusive and somewhat mysterious man.
Well, certainly he was mysterious and elusive, but I don't really think that was too much of a factor for travelers per se. No, there are these other parameters that make it a truly enriching experience. And I want to point out that there has been so much that Fidel actually gave to the nation. We know that there was a brutal cost involved in the revolution, but at the same time, the literacy, etc., the sense of great pride that the Cubans have in their national identity, etc. All these, one can feel them when you're walking the streets of Havana, when you're chatting with Cubans, etc. And I think that's another reason to go also. There's a tremendous affinity between Cuba and Americans. Cubans demonstrate that. Another reason also.
I see. And I mean, the obvious question, is it going to lose its authenticity now?
Well, there's a certain degree, if we call authenticity a sense of being trapped in the 50s, etc. Certainly Cuba is changing. I've been going for 25 years, and I've seen more change in the last 2 or 3 years within Cuba than I have in prior decades. All the kids with their cell phones, there's so much more money in the system, much of it thanks to tourism, going into private hands, to private businesses, etc. And that is being translated into the kind of consumerism that we associated with our own society. That's why these days you see what you would never have seen 5 years ago. Kids with their cell phones, checking their Facebook pages everywhere you go.
Well, Christopher Baker, it's wonderful to see you. Thank you so much for your insight from Palm Springs.